Welcome everyone to this new normal where the significance of a resilient, reliable, and secure performant network is particularly heightened. We are in the middle of this Juniper Networks virtual summit. My name is Aniket Daptari. I'm a director of product here at Juniper Networks, and I've been here for over 9 years now. And I'm going to be talking about what infrastructure as code, particularly as it pertains to network and security, and how it's relevant with infrastructure modernization and the proliferation of adoption of cloud. Further, I'll be using an anonymized example of an actual customer that has employed infrastructure as code across both on-premise and public cloud environments. And they have actually accomplished the ideal of writing application code once and then deploying these applications anywhere. Now, this presentation is in continuation of Ashok Ganeshan and Sally Bement's keynote titled Building Scalable and Agile Infrastructure for the Cloud Era. If you haven't already watched that, I really recommend doing so. So let's take a brief and quick look at the agenda. We keep the agenda real simple. We start with a little bit of a background, explain the problem and explain the considerations about the problem, and then jump to the solution. It's literally as simple as that. It doesn't need to be any more complex. So before we get to the specifics of infrastructure as code, it's perhaps important to understand very quickly the background about the customer and the nature of the challenge specific to their environment. This customer that we are talking about, this customer of Juniper Networks, they offer gaming software as a service to their customers. These customers are worldwide gamers on their computers. They don't need to have any console device to access or play the game. And by various records, as many as 7 million players could be playing the game simultaneously. And over the course of a day, they record over 30 million active players on an average. Because these players are distributed across the world and such a large number of them play the game simultaneously, the technical challenges behind providing a consistently good player experience are far too many. Now, please remember that while what I'm describing is close to the actual situation at this gaming software as a service customer, many aspects of the problem and the solution they implemented are typical of other verticals and other customers as well. Now, to provide a consistently good experience to the game players, the game developers are constantly working on new game stories, game scenes, they keep fixing bugs, and they keep growing and improving the game. In order to be able to do this at scale, the most crucial element needed is development velocity and developer agility. Clearly, there are numerous teams of developers working on various aspects of the game, and therefore, based on what they are working on, their infrastructure requirements tend to vary significantly. Earlier, before they adopted any specific measures to enhance development agility, all applications used to be monolithic, and all infrastructure requests from development teams were channeled through an infrastructure operations team that provisioned infrastructure over days and weeks for each request from the development teams. To roll out a new service globally, it used to take close to 2 months end to end. Network ACLs in particular were found to be the toughest to manage because making changes to firewalls and rolling them out globally used to be fairly onerous. The developers tended to take shortcuts and avoided adhering to the standard operating procedures. Tired of what was being perceived as slowing down the game development and the resulting loss of productivity, many developers started using their personal credit cards, moving their development activities en masse to the public clouds because of the self-service and on-demand attributes of the public clouds. But now, the developers were required to stitch their own VPN tunnels back to on-premise data centers and manage the firewall rules and other policies within the public clouds. Let's take a further look at the challenges now posed on account of the heterogeneous environments plaguing this customer because developers decided to take matters in their own hands and started using the easy way. Now, we do realize that the nice thing about public clouds is that they provide tremendous agility and flexibility at the best velocity while avoiding the overheads of infrastructure lifecycle management. In other words, the cloud providers are letting customers rent infrastructure as opposed to owning, managing, and operating infrastructure. However, these clouds soon start becoming the modern day manifestation of vendor lock-in, or what is also called as cloud jails, when customers start embracing these clouds for more than simply infrastructure as a service. The very flexibility, which was the reason for adoption of cloud, now becomes compromised, and workloads destined for the public clouds remain locked there. The infrastructure teams took note of these developments and wanted to rein things back in. And so, in response to all these developments, the infrastructure teams, the infra ops teams, realized they needed to provide the developers the agility they were looking for. They decided to build an internal platform as a service, which could be instantiated on demand by the application developers. And this would normalize or harmonize the environment across the board, regardless of whether they were deploying or running applications on premise or in the public cloud infrastructure. So one of the most important attributes of a cloud model of managing and consuming infrastructure is this on-demand self-service agile aspect. In order to enable this, the most key ingredient is infrastructure as code. What this means is that developers who desire to use infrastructure, to consume infrastructure, whether that be compute, storage, network, or security, for running, testing, and deploying their applications, these developers express their infrastructure requirements in an abstracted, simple manner, which gets codified in the form of some kind of a manifest file, either structured as JSON or YAML or another markup language, and then gets checked into version control systems, just like their application source code counterparts. Meanwhile, closer down to the infrastructure, more and more automation is desired for a cookie cutter approach to deploying physical hardware. Now, with a hybrid cloud environment, this need gets further accentuated. In order to accomplish the goal of being able to write applications once and then being able to deploy them anywhere without any additional customization specific to the environment, that's the ideal we want to help you customers accomplish. And if this resonates with you, then please stay tuned for the solution in the next couple slides. Meanwhile, before we jump to the solution, let's quickly look at some additional considerations that fed into the solution. First, somewhere around 2012 onwards, began the demise of the Moore's Law. What this meant was that CPU vendors would now stuff more and more cores in order to extract more juice from the silicon, since doubling the performance was no longer possible with successive generations of processors. In order to leverage this, the application developers initially were forced to write multi-threaded applications. And multi-threaded applications weren't the easiest to write, debug, or maintain. This led to the birth of the need for further decentralization or decomposition of monolithic applications, so that those individual components of these applications could then be fed to the multiple cores simultaneously. This was nothing but the birth of microservices. Let's look at some of the other factors that contributed along these lines, and these factors are as follows. First, the emergence and the rapid proliferation of Docker as a fully self-contained runtime with a very minimal overhead, certainly as compared to virtual machines, for developing and deploying applications. These Docker containers served very naturally for hosting the many distributed components of a previously monolithic application. And then the massive adoption of APIs as a standard format for communications, followed by the ubiquitous prevalence of scalable cloud-like infrastructure. All these factors collectively led to the emergence of microservices as a new model for applications in the cloud era, and that lent itself conveniently to the paradigm of infrastructure as code. However, this was true of compute, where Docker or subsequently Kubernetes became that normalizing layer for all microservices-based applications. And software was indeed eating the world, as Marc Andreessen famously wrote. The question we needed to ask ourselves, what about networking and security? Let's see what lay in store for those, specifically with our solution. So with those considerations in mind, let's take a closer look at the solution now. Now, with our solution built fundamentally using our network and security virtualization offering called Contrail Networking, that Lego block, namely Contrail Networking, allows the developer's infrastructure requirements to be codified in the form of a structured JSON or YAML file, and then committed into version control systems a la application source code. Then, just like automated build jobs, an automated transform job would parse the contents of the JSON or YAML and translate the contents into API invocations into our Contrail system, which would then result in the automated creation of virtual networks and security policies, completely transparent, completely oblivious to the application developer. And this would be true whether on-prem or the public cloud. And through all of this, the developer workflow does not change one bit. Now, this resulted in complete harmonization of environment, enabling the self-service consumption of infrastructure for the developers, easing the burden on the administrators, and most importantly, accomplishing the ideal of writing applications once and then deploying them anywhere. We took the same model further, we enhanced it, and then accounted for Kubernetes' network policy manifest, which could then be parsed and translated to relevant Contrail objects like virtual networks, tags, or tag-based policies in a fully transparent manner to provide a specific solution for the Kubernetes ecosystem. And this was done in an automated fashion, completely in response to the application of that Kubernetes network policy manifest. Clearly, this is barely touching the surface of how we enabled our customer to implement infrastructure as code for network and security. What we've further subsequently done is absorbed this model even down into the silicon, providing accelerated performance while completely relinquishing the host CPU and memory for application workloads. It's perhaps natural to have more questions and to seek more details on this topic. For that, please feel free to reach out to us. With that, thank you and stay safe.